Welcome back to Lead Full Circle, where we emphasize the importance of leading well at work, but even better at home. And today's episode is titled Integrity When No One is Watching. But when you think about integrity, what comes to your mind as a leader? How do you lead in the moments you're not out in the spotlight? How do you lead in the moments you're behind those closed doors, those unseen, quiet moments? Do you lead with the same integrity as you would if you're in the public's eyes and people are watching? So that's what today's emphasis is all about. How do you lead when no one's watching at work, at home with your family, out in the community? I'm going to start with this picture. When you see this picture, where does that find you as a leader? And I know that may seem simple. You've got an empty room. You're walking past some trash on the floor. Do you pick it up? Or do you keep walking right by it? That's a very simple, small illustration of what integrity looks like. I'll never forget in one of my very first interviews as a head basketball coach, I was asked a question that had nothing to do with basketball. I was asked a question, if you're walking to the gym by yourself and there's a piece of trash on the floor, are you going to get the custodian to come pick it up, or are you going to pick it up? And I thought that was the strangest question at the time. But now looking back on that question, I know why it was asked. They wanted to know what type of leader I was in those moments. So where does that find you when you're leading at work, leading at home with your family? And I'm not just talking about picking up trash as you walk by it, but do you do the right thing when nobody's watching? Who are you in those moments as a leader when the eyes are not on you? Do you make the right decisions in those moments? So now I want to transition to my family and talk about what our family's experienced these past few days and how I have been able to witness what it really means to lead with integrity when no one is watching. And for me, that's Women's and Children's Hospital, the NICU in Huntsville, Alabama. It has been an incredible journey for our family these past few days. Our little baby boy was born last Thursday, October 16th. And going into delivery, we didn't know really what to expect when it came to his health. We didn't know if he would have to go to the NICU unit because he was a couple of weeks early. We didn't know if he'd be able to go home just a couple of days later. But when he was born, his sugar level was below 20, and it's supposed to be above 60. So in that moment, he was very lethargic, and within 5 to 10 minutes after the delivery, they had him right in the NICU. And their main goal was to get his sugar levels up, but it's a process to do all that. Not going to get into all that, but there we are. Our baby boy's been born. He goes straight into the NICU. And it was a very emotional time for us as parents. But I will tell you this, I'm a big believer in first impressions. And the first time I walked into the NICU, I've never had an experience before with the NICU. So this is my first experience with something like this. So as you walk into that setting, I don't know, well, I do know why. I walk in and there's a sense of peace that came over me. There was a sense of calming. And it's because of the people that work there, because they lead and they work with a sense of love, a sense of compassion, a sense of joy of what they do, their attention to detail. Absolutely incredible the way these nurses and doctors lead with integrity. They work long hours. They're 12-hour shifts. And I was trying to count, and I was asking a lot of questions too as I was working through the week, just witnessing all of this. It's probably 30 to 35 nurses on the NICU floor. I may be off a little bit, but somewhere around 30 to 35 nurses on the NICU floor. And there are a lot of babies, and a lot of babies in worse shape than our son was in. At one point in our stay with the NICU, you were in a section where there was a 2-pound baby, a 5-pound baby, a 3-pound baby. And just to see the nurses and their commitment to doing the right thing. And as parents, we're not in there 24/7 in the NICU. We're in and out for different reasons. So we don't see everything that goes on, but I can guarantee you those nurses, those doctors, they are leading the right way when they're not in the spotlight. And I guess one of the biggest takeaways for me with the nurses and doctors in the NICU is the joy they had in what they do. They love doing what they do. You could sense they had a purpose to their life within their workplace. They knew their why. They were so compassionate. There was a time where throughout these past few days, we had to come home without our baby boy. And that was really, really difficult. And me as a leader of our home, I had to be very strong. I had to be very supportive of Faith in that situation. So I really tried. I had to fight my emotions at times. I had to be strong in those moments for my wife, the mother. But we also had a nurse come along. We had a couple nurses come alongside Faith, sat down with Faith, listened to Faith, talked with Faith, poured their heart out to Faith, was so compassionate. And that made it easier for me to be strong in the moment too, because there was someone else there helping us, guiding us, walking us through this phase of life we've never experienced before. But to see these nurses and these doctors, they don't know the families. They don't know the mother, the father. They don't know the family dynamics. But what they do know is that then when they show up to work, they've got a purpose. They're going to lead. They're going to serve. They're going to pour everything they've got into those babies. It's just an incredible experience to see how those nurses, those doctors lead with integrity every single day, and they pay attention to the details. Every detail matters, and obviously as it should in that stage of life for those babies. But man, we can apply that. Where does this find you in your workplace? Do you show up with that joy? Do you show up to work with love and compassion, attention to details? Do you give your best effort when nobody's watching, like these nurses and doctors do every single day for our babies? It really hit me hard this week. As a dad, as a husband, as a principal at school, within my community, do I show up every day and lead this way like these nurses, like these doctors do, and care for our little babies? Another leadership lesson I thought about, every little milestone with these babies was celebrated. It is a process with these babies to be able to get them to the point where they can go home with their family. But they celebrated every little milestone. Do you do that at work? Do we do that with our own family? Do we celebrate the progress we make as we're working toward the end goal? I'm telling you, there were so many leadership lessons I witnessed at the NICU. It hit me so hard that this is what leading with integrity is all about. And I cannot thank enough the nurses and the doctors, the NICU units and children in Huntsville, Alabama. And at the end of the day, just being honest, I'm very thankful I got to experience this. God has a plan. I put my trust and faith in God. And maybe he wanted me to see this and open my eyes to some things that I needed to reassess when it comes to my leadership, my lead within our family at work, whatever it may be. But our baby boy is safe. Our baby boy is healthy. And it's all because of the hands of those nurses and doctors at Women's and Children's. That is what leading with integrity is all about. So as I go through that journey, as I just explained a little bit of our journey these past few days with our family, where does that find you with leading at work? Where does that find you with leading at home with your family? I also want to say this about the NICU, what I witnessed this week. There are some babies in the NICU that are there for several weeks, several days, a lot longer than what we are there for. But to see the commitment of these parents that show up every day to spend time with their baby, just to lay their eyes on their baby. Some of these babies can't even really be held at times because they're so small and fragile. But the parents I saw that I was around, they were showing up every day for their child. They were present for their child, even when their child was at the very first phase of life, very fragile moment of life. These parents were showing up every day. They were committed to their babies. They were committed to their kids. And this is a perfect transition for us to talk about our home and our family and what it means to lead with integrity at home as parents. Are we present? When you walk in your door, when you walk into your home after a long day at work, do you leave integrity outside on the front porch, or does it follow you in and come into your home with you? Do you parent your kids with integrity? And when I say that, I mean, are you present? Do you show up? Do you discipline your kids consistently? Do you hold them to a high standard because you're preparing them of what's to come in life? Or do you let them get away with stuff because it's the easy way out? Do you stay committed to those values? I think commitment is the visible proof of what integrity is. So do you stay committed to those values at home for your kids as parents? And I want to talk about this a little bit more with our home as parents. We have to model integrity. We have to model that for our kids. So how can we model integrity to our kids? We as parents, as a husband and as a wife, we stay committed to each other. We don't walk out on each other. We don't walk away from our marriage. Our marriage, husband and wife, has to be strong for our kids. They have to see that commitment from husband to wife, mom and dad. That is so important when you talk about leading with integrity within your home. We are committed to each other. When I married Faith on June 28, 2008, yes, I made a commitment to Faith, but here's the most important thing I did. I made a promise before God that I would stay committed to my wife through good times and bad. And I don't want to break that promise I made to God, my Father, my Heavenly Father. The world screams at us to walk away when times get tough. The world tells us it's okay to walk away from your marriage in those tough times. But that can't be who we are. We have to lead with integrity. So during those tough times, we stay committed to our spouse and we stay committed to the promise we made before God. So that is just some encouragement we've got. I wanted to make sure I express to our families today. We have to commit to each other as a husband and wife. We have to model that commitment to integrity as a married couple so our kids can see that. Our kids can sense that. But I also want to say this about marriage and our families. Some of you that are watching may have been through some tough seasons in your life when it comes to your marriage. Maybe it didn't work out. Maybe things didn't go the way you had planned. But I want to encourage you today. Integrity doesn't mean your past has to be perfect. Integrity to you, if you're in that situation, should mean this. You're committing to where you are now to lead with integrity. You're committing to your kids to be present. You're committing to you growing as an individual. You're committing to being the parent your kids can count on right now in your moment, in your season of life. Don't let the past define your present. Don't let the past define who you are right now. Just lead with integrity right now. Don't waste a moment you have right now with your kids to model what integrity looks like, even if you've been through some tough times. Don't let the past define you. Integrity is not about where you've been. It's about who you are building up right now. So be that person, be that leader in your home right now, no matter what the past looks like. Lead with integrity. Lead with good moral character. Be an example of that for your kids so they can grow up to be those type of leaders. So now I want to transition and end with talking to our students and our kids. Integrity is not about being perfect. Integrity is about keeping your word and not quitting on a commitment. Remember, commitment is the visible proof of integrity. Do you finish what you start? Do you give your best effort when nobody's watching? Do you stay honest when you could easily lie your way out of things? Who are you as a young person in those moments? And why is that important? It's important because the patterns you start to shape and form right now as a young person, as a student, it starts to shape who you are as you grow older. So if you are quitting on commitments right now in a young stage in your life, what's to say that pattern of quitting on commitments is not going to kind of stick with you as you grow older? So now when you get older, it's easier for you to quit on a relationship. It's easier for you to quit on a job, even though you need to provide for your family. Parents, we cannot allow our kids to quit on commitments. I've already started talking to Caroline at a young age of 7. You are not going to quit on a team. I don't care if you're playing softball, I don't care what it is you're a part of. If you're part of a band, I don't care. Whatever you're a part of, you're going to finish that season. You're not going to quit. We're going to tough things out and we're going to stick with it. Because I don't want her to start forming a sense of, if I don't like it, I'm just going to quit and walk away. That's the easy way out. We don't need our kids, who are our future leaders of this world, to quit on commitments at an early stage of life, because if they're doing that now, there's a very high percentage they're going to do that when they get older. They're going to quit on an important relationship with their spouse. They're going to quit on the job. We need our students right now, when they commit to something, they need to stick with it and finish it out. And we can't, as parents, allow our kids and allow ourselves to get caught in the moments of starting pointing fingers and blaming other people. They committed to something, they need to finish it, because that is what integrity is all about. It's easy to walk away. It's easy to quit on something. Parents, have your students listen to this. Pray, and I hope, if you're listening, this resonates with you. When you commit to something, stick with it. Parents, hold them to that standard. So when they get older, they don't have a pattern of quitting on things. They commit to it and they lead with integrity. So I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. I've poured my heart into this episode. There's so many examples, again, going back to the NICU leadership. But who are you in those moments at home with your family? Who are you in those moments at work, within the community? Do you lead with integrity when no one's watching? I want to leave you with this. Integrity does not protect you from hardship. It does not protect you from hard times. But integrity prepares you for leadership. So thank you for watching today. Continue to lead well at work, but even better at home. And I will see you next time on Lead Full Circle. Thank you.